Hello again. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Brooks Courtney, and for the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to be looking at installing base cabinets. Now, in the first video, installing wall cabinets, the first thing we did is we unpacked all of our cabinets and used the cardboard boxes for our flooring. Second, we located all of our studs. Third, we found our base lines for our wall cabinets using a story stick. And finally, we drew on our walls the exact locations of every single cabinet, filler, turning, pantry, you name it. This is the proper order. First your wall cabinets, then your crown molding, then your under cab or in cabinet lighting or even over cabinet lighting. Then finally you want to do your base cabinets. That way you're not working over your brand new cabinets trying to do all these other tasks. The light rails are usually the very last thing I install because we must install the backsplash first. Because the light rail molding has got to go to the tile, not into the tile. Otherwise we'd be cutting our tile around the profile of that filler and you don't want to really do that. So grab your notepad, sit back and relax and enjoy the presentation. Now it's time to install our base cabinets. Now I went ahead and laid these out just to give you an idea of what we're doing. This little void right here represents where the dishwasher is going to go. It'll be a 24-inch dishwasher. Our stove's going to go right here, which will line up just under the microwave. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and mark off for our easy level system. If you've never used an easy level system, what it is, just as the walls were not plumb, the floors are never level either. Traditionally, people would use shims to level up the cabinets. We don't use shims to do that. They were never meant to be a foundation for your cabinets. And this kitchen is going to have granite in it, so we want to make sure that we don't have any cracks or any problems at all. So we'll go ahead and mark these off now and see what we're talking about.
Just in case you haven't heard of the Easy Level system, let me take a moment to show you what it is. The Easy Levels are a super strong leveling system that mounts to the bottom of the cabinet. All four levelers are independent, and it's the only one that allows us to adjust the cabinets through the toe kick, which means one crew member can level up the entire kitchen in a few minutes. Now, one of the reasons we use this system, just like we did in the first video in this series, how to install wall cabinets, remember how we put all the cabinets together into larger cabinet runs? Well, now we're able to do the same thing with the base cabinets. Take, for example, this kitchen. You can see we have 3 cabinets back here to the right of the stove, and we've got 5 cabinets over here to the left of the stove. Of course, we have this refrigerator unit here with 2 panels and an overhead cabinet. And of course our island, we've got, this is actually made up of 6 different cabinets, plus there's some turnings. Imagine, if you will, installing this kitchen one at a time. Let's go over to the floor plan, and now you can see here's the island. Again, here's the refrigerator that we had over here, and you can see the stove. Okay. Traditional methods would have you put these cabinets in one at a time. Well, that's a nightmare. Why? Because the floors are never level. They're probably off a 1/4 of an inch or possibly a 1/2 inch from one side to the other. I've had them off as much of an inch from one side of the stove to the other. Also, these walls, they're not going to be plumb. Not perfectly straight like they are in the drawing. This wall is going to be off. This corner is not always 90 degrees. Sometimes it's 89 or 91 degrees. That throws this off. Also, the cabinets aren't square. You would think they are, but they're not. So basically, you are fighting everything trying to get your kitchen perfectly level, plumb, and stable. That's why, using the Easy Level system, we are able to put in all of these cabinets as one piece of furniture, clamping and screwing them together perfectly and then setting them in their place. Same thing here. All these cabinets would go in as one piece of furniture. The refrigerator unit, I would put these 2 panels together with this cabinet above the refrigerator, set it into place, level it up all together. The island, I would clamp and screw all of these cabinets together and all of these cabinets together. Simply level up the left side, the right side, drop down the centers till they touch, and you're done with that unit. It doesn't matter where your walls are going. It doesn't matter if your floor is off. It doesn't matter if your cabinets are not even square. Getting them leveled up with the Easy Level system is no issue whatsoever. There's a lot more to learn about the Easy Level system. That's why we've dedicated a 5-minute long video just for that system. Just go to our homepage and click on the video and you'll find out everything you need to know about it. Okay, first thing we're going to do is put all of our cabinet runs together. Just like we did the wall cabinets, we're going to set them on their backside. Take the doors and drawers off first. Clamp them together using the super clamps. And remember, just like we did the wall cabinets, you're going to drill your pilot hole about 1/4 of an inch from the existing hinge hole where the hinge was screwed into the stile. And remember, we're going to fasten the back sides of our cabinets together as well. And now we can install them as one big piece of furniture. So, step number 1, you should have identified all of your cabinet runs, laid them on their backside, clamped, and screwed them together. Now we're going to mount the leveling system. First, we're going to need some access holes to reach the levelers. The system comes with a drilling guide, so we don't have to measure anything. Just set it on the toe kick, slide it over to the edge till the center tab meets the side of the cabinet, and mark your hole. There's a 7/8 inch boring bit that we have on our website that enables you to drill these holes very quickly. Now just set the levelers on the side of the cabinet, slide the adjusting rods till they're flush with the toe kick, and screw them into the cabinet. You can put more screws in the levelers if you like, up to 5 per unit, but the levelers were engineered to be self-supporting. You could tape them on the cabinet and they would hold the cabinet in granite indefinitely. The main purpose of the screws is to hold them on the sides of the cabinets firmly while you're installing the cabinets, sliding them around the kitchen floor, turning them upside down, and so forth. Drilling the access holes and mounting the levelers usually takes me about 12 minutes for a kitchen. If you've never done it before, you're probably going to spend 15 to 20 minutes on this. Now we're going to set all of our cabinet runs into place except for the sink base. And for now, leave them about 1 inch away from the wall. You'll see why in a little bit. Now that you've got your base cabinet set into place, go ahead and turn on your laser line and set the laser on the highest cabinet. Actually, set it on the highest point of the highest cabinet, which means if you did this correctly, the tops of every single cabinet should either be at or below your laser line. If they're not, you need to raise your laser until every single cabinet is at or below that laser line, because we're eventually going to bring them all up to that line when we're leveling. Now we're going to go ahead and measure off of our corner cabinet for our plumbing lines, and we're just going to measure over to the center of each one of the lines and mark it on the wall. Now we're going to measure down from our laser line, and we're going to mark the centers of each plumbing line just as we did before. If we tried measuring from the wall over to our plumbing, we could be off as much as 1/2 inch or 1 inch. The reason is the walls are rarely plumb. So what we do is we always put the corner cabinet in first. Then we measure off the side of that cabinet over to our plumbing lines. That way we're sure to get it right every single time. Notice I did not measure from the floor up, because the floor, it doesn't matter where the floor is. Remember, the floor is unlevel. This is our baseline, so we're always measuring down from our baseline. That's going to give you an absolute measurement. Now that we have our measurements on our wall, just a couple of important tips. It is really, really, really easy to mess up on this. Alright, so here's how we keep from doing that. Instead of putting this cabinet somewhere else on the floor and trying to get our measurements, we just bring our cabinet straight out. What we're doing, that way we're working in the same direction as our measurements, so I can simply turn around and move over. Otherwise, if I was to turn it this way, we're working backwards. So now we have our first measurement, which is 15 3/4. All right, it's important to note when you're doing this, remember if you're using framed cabinets, you actually have 1/4 of an inch here from this lip to the side of the cabinet, which is what we measured off of. Also, our sink base is going to have a frame around it also. So you've got 1/4 of an inch here and 1/4 of an inch there. So that's going to make all these measurements 1/2 inch off from here. All right, let me try to summarize for you. Basically, because you have 1/4 of an inch lip on both of those cabinets, the sink base and the cabinet we were measuring off of, we have to subtract that 1/2 inch on the back of the sink base. So in other words, if we measured off of our corner cabinet, let's say 15 inches over, when we're drawing off our measurements on the back of our sink cabinet, we would want to be at 14 1/2. And the height is 16.5 inches from the top. So from our baseline down, 16.5 inches. Now that I've got my holes drawn, I'm going to start from scratch. And I'm going to remeasure every single measurement to make sure that I didn't mess up. Now we're going to go ahead and drill our holes for our plumbing lines. Always start from the back side to drill your pilot holes. Then you can drill the larger holes from the front side using your hole saw. That'll give you nice clean cuts inside your cabinet. Now it's time to laser level our cabinets. If you remember in step 4, we turned on our laser beam and we set that laser at the highest point of the highest cabinet. Now what we're going to do is just simply adjust our cabinets up to that laser beam. And remember, all of your base cabinets should be about 1 inch away from the wall right now, which is important because as we level the cabinets up, the cabinets will tilt back and forth. Now it's important to know that it really doesn't have anything to do with what kind of leveling system you use. It's simply a matter of physics. When you try to lift the front of a cube, which a cabinet is a cube, it's going to try to tilt backwards. And if it's stuck on the wall, it can't. It cannot tilt backwards through the wall, so it has no choice but to slide up the wall. So if you're trying to lift the front corner and it's stuck against the wall, the whole thing's going to go up, which means the rear of the cabinet is going to overshoot your mark. Watch carefully and you'll actually get to see the cabinets rocking back and forth as we level it up. We're going to start by using the front levelers first. And what we're going to do is level the fronts of the cabinets up just till they touch the laser beam. Notice how the cabinet is swiveling towards the wall. That's why we moved it out. Now we're going to go to the back side. We're going to use the rear levelers and we're going to bring it up to our laser line. Close anyway. As best you can tell from that angle, you're looking straight at the laser beam over the top of the cabinet. Now we're going to come back to the front levelers and tweak them up until they once again touch the laser beam. And there we go. You can see the laser line split there. Now we're going to move over to the opposite side of our cabinet run. We're working at night here, so the laser beam would show up in the camera. And again, use the front levelers till you reach the laser line. Now move to the back levelers. And level it up until we once again reach the laser line. Notice as we're raising up the back side of these cabinets, the front line disappears. That's because we're tilting forward now because we're using the rear levelers. So we're just going to come back to the front levelers now, tweak them up till we find our laser again. There it is. Now it's time to drop the center levelers down. We're going to start again with the front leveler till we find our laser beam. There it is. Looks pretty good across there. Now we're going to move to the back side and use the rear levelers. To bring the back of the cabinet up to the laser beam. Now that we've got our cabinets pretty much laser leveled, now's the time to scoot the cabinets against the wall. And if we need to tweak a couple of the corners, then we can do so as needed. Now this is another thing that's completely unique to the easy level system that we're using because there is no other leveling system that allows you to drag the cabinets around after they've been leveled up. The other systems just topple over. Now once the cabinets are against the wall, now's the time to go ahead and tweak your corners up or down a little bit just to get everything perfect. Here's a little close-up for you, just kind of having some fun with this corner. You might have noticed I'm using a handheld device to do the final adjustments on the levelers, just giving me a little more control. Now just go around the rest of the kitchen, get all your cabinets up level, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now that we have all the other cabinets lasered up, let's go ahead and slip our sink base into place. We're going to slide it in just before we get to the plumbing. And as you'll notice, the sink base is actually a little lower in this case than the rest of the cabinets. It still needs to be leveled up to the laser line. And because of that, you can see our plumbing will not line up with our holes until we do so. So let's go ahead and level the sink base up. And you can actually see the plumbing will line up with the holes as we do it. Now we can go ahead and slide the sink base back to the wall, let the plumbing come through our access holes. Now, just as before, we've already leveled this cabinet up. Now we're scooting it back into position. This is exclusive to the easy level system because it's the only system that allows us to do that. So now that the sink base is leveled up with the other cabinets, we can go ahead and clamp and screw those together, and we're done with this phase. Most kitchens take me about 10 to 12 minutes to level up. If you've never used the system before, you're probably looking at about 15 to 20 minutes. Now you're going to want to go ahead and screw the cabinets into the wall. And I've given you an example here. You'll see that on the left-hand side, we're flush up against the wall, no problems. But only about 33 inches to the right, you can see there's quite a bit of a gap, about a quarter of an inch between the wall and the cabinet. So what we're going to do is put a shim in here. You can see where it stops naturally. I'm going to push it just a little bit further in. Notice that I have the laser on. I would never attempt to screw the cabinets into the wall without leaving the laser on. It's too easy to unlevel your cabinets by pulling them against the wall unknowingly. Now just screw through the cabinet, through the shim, and into your stud. A quick side note, you only need to shim where the studs are. If there is a gap in between the two studs, it really doesn't matter because you're not screwing through those areas. Now just cut off the excess and we're done with this phase. The only other thing I want to mention before we move on is the importance of getting all your cabinets up off the ground about 1/8 of an inch. If you follow the directions that come with the easy levels and follow the steps that we laid out in this video, that's exactly what you'll get. But why is this important? Well, the answer is simple. Water and cabinets do not mix. And if you ever have a small water leak, that water will destroy your cabinets quickly. So what I like to do is always get my cabinets about 1/8 of an inch off the ground all the way around. That way, if you do have a leak, the water runs right underneath, never touching the cabinets. Now, before the easy level system, that was impossible. So what we used to do is actually shellac the bottom of our cabinets just in case. And it helped. Wasn't perfect, but now with the easy level system, we just raise them up about 1/8 of an inch all the way around the kitchen. Now, if you're going to try to use shims, here's what you need to know. First, if you remember when we were using the leveling system, we set all the cabinets in place and then turn the laser on and simply set it above the highest cabinet. Well, you can't do that if you're using shims. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and use your story stick and find the highest level on the floor, both front and back, just like we showed you in the video before. Then you're going to set your cabinets into place, but you have to do them one by one. So you start with the corner cabinet always, and you set it into place, and you level it up and plumb it up with your shims. Then you set the next cabinet in line, and you level it up and plumb it, and you go around the room. Now, the real problem with this, of course, as we've kind of already touched on earlier, if your walls are not perfectly plumb or straight, and they veer off a little bit here and there, you're going to tend to follow the walls, the imperfections in the walls, which can be frustrating. And usually what that means is somewhere down the line, as you're about 6 or 7 or 8 cabinets into it, you might have to go back and redo them a few times to get them. And the big problem is you can't reach the rear shims. So you can't make micro adjustments. You actually have to take them all out and start over one by one until you get it right. The real problem, the thing that I hate the most about shims is that they, through expansion and contraction, they're going to move out of the way over time. They're not going to be load bearing. You put them in today, they're nice and tight, but you've got pressure with the countertops and cabinets on them, and as they breathe, they will move out of joint. They may still be sitting close to where you put them, but they're not going to hold anything up. So if you're using granite, I highly recommend that you do not use shims. But this is just in case you need to. Now, also, if you'll remember, when we were using the leveling system, we leveled the cabinets up away from the wall and then scooted them back. Well, you can't do that now because you can't scoot cabinets around once you level them up with shims. So you kind of have to push them against the wall, but keep in mind what we taught you about the wall hang issue. Also, we put our sink base in last after all the other cabinets, and you can't really do that here either because, again, you can't reach the back of that cabinet. So you have to put the sink base in as you go around your cabinet runs, just like every other cabinet. For the record, I do not recommend using shims at all. If you're using an expensive countertop, granite, quartz, anything like that, or if you've got some really nice cabinets with soft close, full extension drawers, things of that nature, these mechanisms are really high tech and you just need a stable foundation. You don't want things moving around down there. One last thing before I go, we've also included a download of the transcript of this video, complete with chapter headings and timestamps, so that you can quickly access any information that we have shown you on these videos by fast forwarding right to that segment. We've also got some charts and graphs that you can download from our website showing you how to wire up your under cabinet lighting and over cabinet lighting, how to properly draw your cabinets on the wall, all kinds of good stuff. So just go to www.ez-level.com and you can download them as many times as you like. They're all free, so enjoy, happy installing, and God bless you. Well, that's it for this video, and if you would, do us a favor. If you feel that these videos have helped you in any way and maybe saved you some time and money, if you're watching this on YouTube, just go down and press the like button for us. That really helps us a lot. Also, you can push the share button, and if you're on Facebook, just give it a click and you'll be able to actually write a comment and share it on Facebook. Google Plus is kind of a new thing, and it really helps us in the rankings. Just click on that, and again, just type in a quick comment and sign up if you need to. It is the wave of the future. And also, if you're watching this on the website, just by moving the mouse, you'll see the Google Plus and Facebook share buttons that'll pop up on your screen. This really helps us in the rankings tremendously. So thank you once again, and God bless you.